Hello and welcome to Cooking with Danny and Charlene. Today we are making Ginger McGuigan's famous corned beef hash. You will need one of these big things to boil the potatoes. You'll need this to fry it all up in it. And then the ingredients. We have potatoes, of course, you're going to need those. A couple of onions, corned beef hash, baked beans, sweet corn. It's not what Mum puts in, but we're throwing our own little twist on it. Oil, salt, and this stuff here, which is good, chili powder. It gives it that little bit of a kick. Yes, a little bit of a kick. So what we're going to do, we're going to take these potatoes. We have, oh look, ones we prepared earlier. We have, so we peeled these. Charlene lost half a finger, that's why she's behind that. Basically, we're going to cut them into little odd-shaped cubes. As you can see, we have some here that we're just slicing up. We've already done. There's no point doing them in little tiny cubes because whenever you go to boil them, they just turn into mush. So you're looking for kind of chunky type stuff. So that's them pretty much all cut up into their little cubes. That is us finished. And now, time to give them a boil. Oh, I think we made too much, but anyway. Alright, so we'll bring them over here. We have our pot. It is now nice and boiling. And sitting there roaring and ready to go. I know I'm going to break this now. Very experienced chef. And then basically, without making too much of a splash. Ow, ow, ow. I knew it was going to happen, but there you go. Alright, one down. Let's stick the other one in here. Hope the rest of the guys are hungry. Yes, very professionally done. It's a bit of salt, obviously, to flavour the water, as if it needs flavour. And then we shall leave that to boil. So, the next ingredient is le corned beef hash. Okay. So, we're going to cut this up. Pretty straightforward enough. We just need to cut it into little cubes. That's the tricky bit, because it's very easy to turn this into mash. Now, obviously, I'm going to cut the rest of it very quickly, but just so you can see what's going on. We're talking cubes like so. Little tiny squares. That's all you need. So that's the corned beef hash cut up into nice little cubes. We'll be frying that up soon. Next up, le oignon. Now, this is the bit I really don't like, because you know what it's like. It's going to start crying and everything, but you're just looking to, again, cut it up into little tiny pieces. Maybe I should have peeled that first. Okay, so that's a lot better now that I'm crying. When we have it off, all we're looking to do is just cut this into small, little, tiny pieces, because we're going to fry it in with the corned beef hash. So it's pretty straightforward. Oh, there goes the eyes already. Oh my goodness, that is strong. That is a strong one. So we're going to cut this up as quick as we possibly can. Yeah. Apparently, this not the eye for moderate. Onions, I hate them! But as you can see, they're cut up into nice small pieces. Let's just seal them in and hope that they don't give us any more trouble. Alright, let's see if these guys are getting anywhere near done, because they have been boiling for a while. So let's bring up a nice big juicy piece. Come here. I lost it. Come on, you juicy piece. Right, so we're going to chest it for, see what it's like, and that looks like it's almost there, but it's not quite there. But what this does means is this will be this will be finished very shortly. So what we can do is get on this bit. So we'll leave that over there, and we'll bring this over. We're now going to fire up. Well, let's get some oil in here first. Obviously, this is where we're going to basically fry up the corned beef hash and the onions, and then put them all into there, obviously draining, but we'll get to that in a minute. That's right, we haven't used this yet, so let's, this is what you call pre-prepping everything. Make sure everything's 100% first, and roaring and ready to go. So, is that going to pop now? It's not going to pop now. I can just see this going whoosh all over me. Yes, we've done this before, Mom. So, a little bit of oil in the frying pan. Not much, as you can see. That's that. Let's get that all moved around. All nice and smooth. Basically what we're looking to do is coat the bottom of the pan so that stuff doesn't burn. So let's fire up this bad boy. Here we go. There we go. That's it on. So my favorite part, les oignons. Basically what we're looking to do is brown the onions. Now this basically just means cooking them, stirring them around until they get a bit browner. So we'll come back to them in a few minutes once they're brown. So there we go, we have the onions now lightly browned, as you can see, so it's time to introduce the corned beef hash. Now these were little tiny cubes that we cut up earlier. To be honest, they're probably just going to get mushed up a little bit more, but we do want to get them all nice and cooked up. Probably cubes about Each one of those we probably could have cut into half again. So for future reference, I think we'll lower them down a wee bit. But these will be nice big chunky bite-sized pieces. Be like spicy meatballs. So we're going to keep these, start to heat these up a wee bit. Now we have 2 more ingredients to add to this pot here, so we're going to do that now. One is the chili powder. Now normally I would just take a pinch of it, but I'm just going to put a little bit more in there than I normally would. Now that just gives it that little bit of a kickback. And then the other thing we want to do is an ingredient that I didn't introduce earlier. Of course, black pepper. Very, very simple. We just want to put a little bit in there, and that'll give it, again, a nice little flavor that brings out in the onions and all the bits and bobs. Alright, so that should be the potatoes, all nice and boiled, so we'll just let them sit there in their pot while we add 2 more ingredients to our frying pan. One is the baked beans. Oh, yes. Now that's more like a breakfast right there. And of course, our own little flavour, we're going to add in some sweet corn. We'll not do the whole tin, just because there's not an awful lot of room here. Remember, we still have to add potatoes into this frying pan, so it's going to be quite nuts. So we'll get this all heated up nicely, and then we shall introduce the potatoes. Alright, our nice big mess is all moved up. You see the cubes? They're not cubes anymore. So now we're going to introduce some of the potatoes. I think we've cooked probably too many, so I'm going to pour quite a few of them in here, but not all of them. We've drained them, obviously, but we're just going to add in probably about that many there. So as you see, we've cooked a little bit too many, but that's okay. We can have that for something else. And now it's just a case of mixing it all up. And there we have, all nice and freshly made up from fresh produce, the tin kind. Some of it anyway. Total prepping time, or total cooking time, including the prep, I would say about 45 minutes or so. That's including peeling potatoes and everything. And I have my mom to thank for this. She came up with this. It's a lovely thing. So I think it is time that we dish it out. Let's get rid of all that and bring it over. It is absolutely beautiful. It's going to be hot, home cooked type, warm and hearty type food. This is the kind of stuff you want to have in the winter. I think when it's nice and warm, or when it's nice and cold, and it's going to warm you from the inside. Very easy enough, beautiful stuff, beautiful stuff. First introduced to me when I met my mum for the first time, 20 odd years ago, but that's another story. So there we have, ladies and gentlemen, for your cooking and enjoying pleasure, Ginger McGuigan's corned beef hash.